So let's get cracking, guys. I want to see Jacob Inholt's deal. So I'm going to set my screen share to share screen, the security. So Jacob, you're up. Let's see what you've
Perfect.
got.
Yes, it's actually a deal together with Ben Gaxiola, Risto, and Jamaica. So
Nice.
we're gonna all be on it. I'm gonna share
Nice.
now.
Well, the floor is yours.
Perfect. I'm gonna hand over the microphone to Ben.
Hey guys, it's a good thing to be here. It's a wonderful opportunity to learn from all the big boys. We are looking to buy an architecture design studio and is shaping the sustainable architecture, engineering, construction. This, we want it to become a platform, and on top of it, we want to do roll-ups. Next. This business, the current situation that we have, it was founded in 2006. It offers a number of sectors: interior graphic design, branding, and industrial design. And what it has given us is ideas to be able to expand on potential and unexploited revenue, to be able to push these branding and interior graphic design, industrial design, which are normally right now used for their own work, to be able to promote it to going outside of the firm and adding some roll-ups on that. The products and services, obviously, I said it a little while ago, and it's architectural interior design, graphic and branding, and industrial design. We plan to add engineering, structural, civil, and mechanical, electrical, plumbing. The industry reputation is really in an amazing tip-top condition for this location, and for the number of jobs that they've got and for the number of employees they have. The target industries, which retail stores and auto restaurants, bring a little bit of concern, not a whole lot right now, but it is the sector that went through some trouble and during the pandemic. So we aim to come back a little bit on the renegotiation with the price that he's asking, to come back on that. The multifamily and mixed use is very strong and has been very strong for a bit. So that's something that he's leaning on very heavy for the asking price. Next. So the legal structure, the workforce, the employee expertise and specializations are, as I said before, very good, very strategic. And the locations, he's got 2 locations, one in Cincinnati and one in Tampa. And the good thing is he's actually licensed in 48 states, not by the head architect, but the 3 key employees. And so they aim to remain in the firm. And the philosophy, the track record, the approach, the notable projects for all of the disciplines that they are having. Next. They're actually all combining pretty much the same philosophy. Graphic design, industrial design, and technology, they all have amazing focus on trying to help each other. And as I said, within the firm, but we're trying to get them to think that they're separate business entities. Next. This is a quick overview. The orange is obviously the EBITDA, and the blue is the revenue that they have. Next, we'll get more into details with that. So the factors to keep in mind is that the architect wants to retire because of his age, and he wants to spend time with his family, and he wants us to have a seamless transition, wants to stay as a member of the board of advisors potentially. The key employees that I mentioned is one is a director of architecture, and one is the managing director, and the other one is a director of operations. Both, all 3 of them are have been extensive number of years and very qualified, and they can run the business without the senior architect in place. Next. So the vision that they have, which is what we placed here, we are thinking that our vision and theirs line up really well. And our vision is to transform spaces into functional, aesthetically pleasing environments while building a successful platform company for investors. We blend innovative design with practical construction solutions, ensuring projects are visually stunning, structurally sound, and cost-effective. With communication, collaboration, and meticulous attention to detail, we create a foundation for a thriving empire of roll-up and bolt-on companies. This strategy sets us up for a rewarding exit, leveraging our experience and proven track record to inspire confidence and achieve remarkable success. Next. So this is basically some of the work, some of the pictures. Next. Some of the artwork that they've done is a classical fashion, and some of it is really, really leading edge, which is what this one alludes to. The talent they have is relies on the passion, the expertise of the client's vision. They do have amazing technology. They have the latest program software and people that are very experienced in the rendering and the BIM technology and so forth. And the business development is from geographical growth expansion to business model enhancement. The company will devise strategies, it says, for shield itself from economic volatility. That's something that they've done to try to keep their balance and the profitability goals. Next. I believe Risto takes over.
Yeah, pull it back one, Jacob. Yeah, this is actually one of the projects. All the pictures what we showing is part of what they already designed.
Yes.
So they are all from what they already done and designed. So it's really nice what they've been done. Go to the next. What we offered, actually already offered. This is we calculated how we came out with the multiple. We had the SBA offer for them. We used the transfer value because they have a good systems on the place. It was 71%.
Wow.
And the match score is around 60. It's not any kind of stress or anything on a financial. So, and this is the SBA structure was 2.84, about 2.9. And then we calculated the annuity offer for them for the 5.40. Actually, we gave them a 5.1 offer. We have a little bit room to negotiate on that. So that multiple came out with 5.48. So go ahead, Jacob. This is how we came out with the multiple from those it's about average how they almost in a best in class. So we came out with the 71% of the transfer value. So that's how it looks like on the multiple scale. Next.
I love how you're using the tools, guys. Like
Yeah.
I love it when I do this stuff for you guys and you use it. It really makes me happy. So good job.
Yeah, this is we call it actually, we have offer A, which says PO, we call it partnership offer, not annuity offer. It's just because we want to keep that word away. So we call it partnership offer and say we can partner with this, with the basically annuity offer. And there's an owner, there's the 3 key employees, and we're going to team up with them. We have an architect in our group, a couple of engineers, and then we have Jacob, who is also engineering, what that class called?
Master planner.
Yeah, master planner, and his father is an engineering and architect as well. So it's coming on a roots. So that's the group what we planning to take this on to grow the company, because owner gonna stay, all the key employees gonna stay, owner gonna stay a couple of years, and we planning to take this company double or triple quickly. Go ahead and next. The exits for us, we were thinking about, if there's a trade companies can buy, private equity, IPO is one option. Also the employee, what what's that called? ESOP?
ESOP, yeah.
ESOP. Yeah, also that's an option. Those are the exit options, what we're gonna think about later. Go ahead, the next. The one we actually need from the group is the advice how we can, because seller wants 8 and we were calculating it's gonna be somewhere around 5, 5.5. How we mitigate to the middle of the pricing and how we can get to close that gap so we can get to close. He's open to do the annuity deal, but how we can get to the valuation for what works for the both of us.
What's the EBITDA right now? Is it about $1 million bucks?
1.2.
1.2.
Yeah, 1.2. So if it's doing 1.2 million of EBITDA, you'd need to model it, but you could probably pay 600,000 a year for 10 years. So that'd be $6 million. You can buy less than 100% of the company, let the owner retain a piece of the equity, and then you'd give some free equity, I'm guessing, to those 3 key employees that hold the license. And then maybe give the owner a little piece of the top co and sell him on your roll-up. Because what you're doing is I'm from this world, although a long time ago. My first degree was in civil engineering and architecture back in 1992. And after 3 months working in that industry, not making a lot of money, I decided to become an investment banker, right? I'll tell you that story another day. But so I worked for 3 summers as an intern for Over Partners, who are the largest, most successful multidisciplinary engineering firm on the planet. And they have a division called Arup Associates, which does exactly what you've been talking about. They're not just architects, they're interior designers, they're landscape architects, they're master planners, they do civil engineering, structural engineering, they do mechanical and electrical engineering, they do sound and acoustic engineering, they do all these different things, right? And they design some of the best businesses in the world. And I think it's a great strategy to provide that multidisciplinary expertise, because like in any project, in any building project, whether it's a mini dealership or whether it's a shopping center or whether it's a coffee shop, the general contractor that is building that out, who's run the project, needs all of those different consultancy services, right? So rather than go to 10 different people, and as you know, the drawings and the construction schedules all have to be integrated. Back when I was doing it 35 years ago, we used to draw on sheets of paper. So this way before AutoCAD became really popular. Now you have one master AutoCAD file or something called a BIM, a BIM, a building information management file. And then every one of those services has their own drawing layer in the software, right? So then they can see how for example, the architect does his design, then the structural engineer has to do his design, but then the mechanical and electrical engineer, if he has to route the cables through the steelwork, that will impact the design of the steelwork, right? They got to brace it and do all that kind of stuff. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to this. This is what I used to do a long time ago, and I never forget things. So I think this is a great business. I think one of the challenges with this business, because it's so best in class, they do have this extremely high valuation on the business. This is what I call a Cybertruck deal, right? Everyone's going to want to buy it, which is why the valuation's so high. And they would probably get that, if not more, if they sold to a large trade buyer, another large architectural firm, or maybe a big structural engineering company that wants to move into the architectural design stuff. So yeah, I think if he's up for an annuity, offer him more, but model it out, make sure you got enough cash flow. You could maybe put an earn-out in there. You could give him retained equity. You could give him some equity in the top co. There's loads and loads of different ways that you could sweeten this deal, but what a fantastic business. And incredible job utilizing all the tools I've given you over the last few weeks. Transfer value analysis, multiples model. You clearly watched the presentation I did last week around having at least 3 ways to exit a deal. man, I love it when you guys do what I say. It really makes me happy. So great job.
Do we have another slice, Jacob?
Yeah, keep going.
On the one seat. I think the Jamaica is ready with the one seat.
Yeah, so one of the things that like our status right now is we presented this offer to the seller, and then the seller responded to us saying that he has already like 2 offers in the pipeline that gave him around the 8 million valuation, but still he wanted to work with us. So I think that's like all the points that you're mentioning a while ago, Carl. It would be helpful for us to get back to the seller on what's the proper response for that. So yeah, so here's the one sheet that we have, and we pegged the multiple at 5.1, which is what the seller is gearing towards the annuity deal. So yeah, that's
Yeah, one of the things, so I'd be interested to know what happened in 2021. Maybe it was because it was COVID and you know, we know the world was in a different
That's
place.
100% correct. It's COVID related.
Yeah, so for me, I would probably just take an average of the 22 and the 23, which gives you an EBITDA somewhere in the 1.3 range. And then when you apply the 5.1 multiple, you're at the kind of you're around $6.6 million. So yeah, I think if you look at your current adjusted EBITDA of 1.354, you could easily fund $6.5 million on an annuity. There's $1 million of cash in the business. I think you could do a little bit of analysis around the working capital. You might not need all of that cash in the business because AR's pretty low. Well, saying that, it's 65 days, so kind of average. You could probably get a little bit of an AR facility on that if you're doing an annuity. So you might be able to get, you know, probably $1 million out of that as well. So you could do a hybrid deal where you might put 1 to 1.5 million down, leveraging the AR and a little bit of cash, and then put the rest on an annuity. And then I would sweeten the deal with some shares in the top co, sell him on the roll-up idea, tell him you're gonna give a little bit of equity, a few points each to those 3 key employees. But yeah, I'm gonna let Jeremy and David take over and get into the details on this a lot more. But yeah, I love these types of deals. It's surprising to me I've never bought a company like this when this was the world I originally came from. Maybe it was my Freudian brain never wanting to go back, you know, to that world, right? But what an absolutely amazing business. Yeah, so extremely high green light for me on this. If it wasn't overvalued in the mind of the seller, you didn't have to get super creative and all these different things, probably a golden buzzer deal. But Jeremy, David, I'll let you guys chime in.
Yeah, I like the business for sure. I really like these architecture firms. Yeah, obviously the challenge is going to be with the entire valuation. You know, that $8 million offer that they have is obviously probably from a trade buyer. So the reason they're able to probably offer that is just looking at their overhead percentage as a percentage of revenue. They're at about 30%. A trade buyer can probably cut that in half, get it down to 15. So you figure you cut 15% out of the business, that's almost another $1.5 million, which puts them in about $2.5 to $3 million of adjusted EBITDA for a trade buyer. That's why that trade buyer is willing to pay, you know, $8 million for the business. Now, obviously, you not having that platform company to, you know, to build off and do that yourselves, I would really try to sell them on, you know, hey, let us be that trade buyer that goes out into the market along with you rolling over equity, and we can do this along with you and, you know, increase the overall value of, you know, what you're worth, you know, 3 to 5 years down the road. But I really like the business.
I really appreciate that, Jeremy. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I love the space. I mean, you guys have we've talked about that. I think with all of you. My daughter is in this world as well. She's a landscape architect, and Jacob and I have talked at length about that. I echoing on what Jeremy was saying, I do think that overhead is high for this business. You know, it's looking at 2023, it's at about a 13% EBITDA margin. I like to see professional services businesses, you know, north of the mid 20s. So that would be the one concern for me, and that might be something you can talk to this in terms of talking about the multiple with the seller. That might be one place to have the conversation with them. Is look, the overhead on this business is really high. So one of the things that's driving down both your valuation and the multiple we offer on the valuation is the fact that while there's a lot of things about this business that are best in class, the cost structure isn't. You know, building a little bit of, you know, as I like to call it, the "I'm sorry, but your baby is ugly" conversation. So that'd be one thing. The other thing, to me, just my gut reaction looking at this business, I'm a little curious at what $1 million in current liabilities is in this business. Unless they're subcontracting a whole bunch of work, I'm curious as to what they're coming up with to have those current liabilities at that level. So I don't know, Jamaica, if you have any insight into that and into details, but that would be another inquiry that I would make.
Yeah, that's really helpful, David. Jacob, can you go to financial inputs? I think it's because they have they're operating on 2 offices, one in Florida and one in Ohio. And they're also expanding. So it's that's one. And then here it says it's accounts payable.
Yeah. So AP, I'm curious, you know, what this business has by way of AP other than probably subcontracted professionals. You know, they you know, if they're the lead on the project and they have you know, they have the civil, they have the structural, they have the landscape architecture, all potentially as subcontracts. But I want to explore that, and then what that 428 of other current liabilities is. That almost bugs me more than the accounts payable number. That's a big number in the kind of miscellaneous category that I'd want to understand.
And David, on the accounts payable, real quick, I mentioned to him in one of the videos and one of the Zoom conversations we had that we had the ability to actually hire off the United States. We actually can hire teams that are very qualified in Mexico and South America. And we were already doing that. And he was extremely ecstatic. He says, "Oh my gosh, you can actually improve the bottom line quick."
Yeah, no, absolutely. Offshoring a lot of the technical work, the drafting work, and things like that are super super viable in this field. Going north south, as you mentioned, going east west as well. I know in my a company I worked with in the structural steel space, they outsource all of their detailing to India. To a firm in India. So there's a lot of opportunities there. Yeah, Luis just said the same thing. The other question, so the 2 real burning questions I have on this deal, though, number one is taking a really, really hard and honest look at transfer of value. How much of the value of this business is the principal architect? A lot of these small professional design firms, it's really all about the senior architect, the owner, founder is the brand. So making sure that there truly is transferability of that value, and that you can maintain this $8-10 million revenue stream if he is beginning to phase out of the business, and that you've got a really, really solid plan to transition the brand from him personally to the firm. And then the second piece I would want to know more about is the what the licensing structure looks like within the design professionals. How many states are they currently licensed in? What do you need to do? You know, Ohio, you mentioned them being in Ohio. I don't want to pick on Jeremy's home state, but I'm not really crazy about the construction business in Ohio in terms of growth prospects. You know, you also mentioned Florida. Okay, that I am crazy about. You know, you look at the Piedmont Atlantic, Central Florida, Texas Triangle, Front Range of the Rockies, Arizona Sun Corridor. All of those areas, population is projected to grow 50% between now and 2050. I want to be in the construction world in those spaces. Don't necessarily want to be in the Rust Belt. So what does that licensing look like? How do you expand the geographic footprint to take advantage of that growth?
Yeah, it's 48%. I mean, the 48 states they've got already, and it's the personnel that has the licenses, not the senior. And he's willing to stay up to 3 to 5 years with us. He says, I just want to have some time to go and visit with my relatives and family and grandchildren, but I want to be involved in the presentations and all of that and make sure that you guys understand that. So I feel that he's trying to minimize that as well. Also, the market in the United States is $73 billion in 2023 with a 4 to 5% increase. And America only, let's see, is 19% of what it can be in the world. So we're thinking that we can take it outside of design-wise and consultation-wise, we can take it outside of the United States and go, because of the level of design and achievements that he has acquired, we can take it outside of the borders of the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you've got firms out there like and you're in the industry, Ben. I know you know this, but you know, firms like HOK that are, you know, global architecture firms and design firms. You know, that have offices all over the world. And even small firms are able to do this. We looked at a landscape architecture firm with my daughter that was based on the U.S. West Coast, but prior to COVID, 80% of their work was in China. Now that became very, very problematic for them, and with COVID, it kind of dumped it dumped the firm in the crapper. So you got to be careful about those international pieces, but there's definitely opportunity there.
If we just to look at one of the forecasts, I know we're probably running out of time. If we were to look at the forecast model, just with one addition, it goes just really, the numbers look really good. So we're very thinking that it's a potential. Some of the input that you guys have given us, it's amazing. It's some of the hurdles. The annuity hurdle is a big one in the sense that he feels that he receives all the risk. And so we're having to deal with that right now.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'll put in, and I'll needle Jacob a little bit here. You listed all of the additional disciplines that you want to incorporate vertically, but you didn't mention landscape architecture in there. So.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I guess that's inside. That's inside of architecture, I guess.
Yeah. Can you take put it in
Yeah, my daughter is in a landscape architecture firm now. It's a startup, but it's tied to a 200 professional architecture firm, and she spends her day walking around the architecture firm explaining to them what landscape architects do, because none of them understand this.
Tell her to watch her phone; it'll be ringing.
All right, let's see here. Lenny, you got your hand up. You got a question?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to comment on it. I think it was a fantastic presentation. I've talked to Ben before, sharp guy. I think that the thing to also keep in mind, and I see this a lot, and I know Carl and David are going to be going over this on Monday, but when we look at a deal, we we definitely stress test the deal based upon what is it going to look like when you take on debt service. And in this particular situation, and why I think people should stand tough in the negotiations and try to get numbers that are closer to what the one sheet tells you they should be. Because if you were to do an SBA loan, let's say it's $6.5 million here, your yearly debt service is going to be over $1 million. And one small, change in the macro economy or even in the industry can put you really at risk. So you have to be careful when you're going for these higher numbers and factor in what's the debt service going to look like if you do pay that higher number.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, true.
Great point.
Absolutely. We've looked at that, and that's the reason why we stuck to the charts that, you know, especially the transfer value table that Carl has given us. We're looking at that, but there, you know, it's a broker deal, so there you go. Broker's talking to it.
Yeah. Understood. But in the end, you know, it's your business, right? So you have to service that debt. And so you've got to make sure that you negotiate the best possible deal you can, especially for a bigger deal like this, where, without any hesitation that you're going to be able to service that debt. Because in businesses like this, there's going to be, industry standard. There's going to be a reasonable period of collections, right? 60 plus days typically. And
Yeah.
so, you have to service that debt. And even if you do get a reasonable amount of working capital, you can burn that cash quickly.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Lenny.
All right,
Of
one more,
course.
then we gotta move on to the next one. Lydia?
Hello, proteges. Great business, incredible work that they've done. I recently just had an experience where the price of a business was raised, so I passed on it. Can't agree more with Leonard, where you need to make sure that you can actually cover the debt, especially if it's too high. My number one question is, why would you believe that they do have those offers of $8 million? Sometimes it can be just advertised or misadvertised that that's what the rate is. So I would question that, first of all. And secondly, maybe it would make sense to, overpay, but I think that because the money is expensive today, I don't think it makes sense to overpay. But again, that's just my 2 cents. I would just be really careful with overpaying for a business. Again, they've done beautiful work, so I can understand why you would be very interested. But I feel like you have advantage because you're coming in with the team, with the knowledge and passion towards this business versus a trade buyer. So perhaps you can have more rapport and kind of get this person more reasonable in terms of the evaluation.
Thank you, Lydia. It's amazing.
Other route is actually get it professionally evaluated and bring that to the table.
Thank you. We'll
Very
do.
good. Great
I think
points.
we had a couple of comparisons what we're gonna bring in the negotiation, what was sold recently. And we can use that as a leverage on negotiation. He's open, and we're talking about it, saying, we have to have enough cash flow, enough reserves to make payments to him. So the SBA is out of the table anyway. So he's going to be the one who's carrying it. So he understands if we have to have enough revenue, pay him and pay the future and a growth.